I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Madison School Board to order. Before we go any further, please make sure you've turned off your cell phones and put on vibrate. That's as much to remind me to do it as to remind you. Okay. And first up on our agenda is the roll call.
President Holcomb.
Here.
Vice President Gresham.
Here.
Member Kazi.
Here.
Member Spear.
Here.
Member Thompson.
Here.
All are present.
Thank you. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Marshall, would you lead us in the pledge, please? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That brings us to the adoption of the agenda. Does any member of the board or staff have changes to the agenda at all? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved. Second.
It's moved by Ms. Spear, seconded by Ms. Kazi. Please vote.
Mr. President, can I explain my vote because I can't remember my password yet? I vote aye.
Vote aye. So everybody else voted. Everybody vote up. There it is. You apparently got it, and you got some assistance from behind. That passes unanimously. It's wonderful how technology speeds up our lives and makes it easier. The next up is a call for an executive session. I'm unaware of any need for an executive session. Having none, that brings us to presentations and recognitions.
President Holcomb, I'd like to present Miss Anna Andrews, President of MDTCA. She will recognize some of our amazing staff members.
order to best support their children. This is an added benefit for our families as Ms. Lopez is bilingual, supporting those families whose first language is Spanish. On top of that, she's nonstop. She even assisted many of our families by providing support with gifts, food boxes, and other essential needs this past holiday season. In addition to her role as social worker, she serves as one of our advisors for National Junior Honor Society, leading by example to further support students in their quest to demonstrate leadership. She also serves on our Sunshine Committee, helping to support an inclusive, positive culture, organizing staff luncheons, and helping to coordinate fun activities throughout the school year. We are honored to celebrate Ms. Lopez today. She is a great leader among her peers and truly makes the difference for all students, staff, and community members.
Come up. Okay, here you can get a picture. You can stand up here too. Son, would you like to say a few words? I'm good, thank you. You sure? Do you have anyone here besides Batman that you'd like to introduce?
I have two. My husband and my other older son, but of the three, only one came.
Oh,
So I had
well,
to pick him up. But
that's why he's a superhero.
Yes, that's why he's a superhero. Yes. They had prior engagement. So.
Well, thank you
Dad
so
went
very
with
much.
the older one. So
Yeah.
yes.
Well, this is for you. It will pop out, so
Okay.
you'll want to hold it in there. Thank you so much for everything you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Our next You Make the Difference Award recipient is Debbie Willis. Debbie Willis is a Camel View Cub that goes above and beyond with making a difference on our campus. Debbie is a well-seasoned teacher, and when she moved to Camel View 5 years ago, she brought a wealth of knowledge with her. Debbie's leadership in regards to reading instruction is helpful to many teachers on our campus. Debbie has supported many faculty on our campus with mentoring and is currently working on her reading endorsement. The students in Debbie's classes over the past few years have had a wide variety of social, emotional, and academic needs. Debbie collaborates with our social workers and administration regularly to make sure all of their needs are being met. She is excellent with involving parents and making them two-way partners. Mrs. Willis also gives her time beyond the school day as she is the facilitator of the Culture and Climate Committee on our campus. She has an amazing personality and is always making people smile or laugh. She helps to plan fun social events for our staff like Dip Day, Sip and Paint, and most recently, our Junk Food Snack Day. For the students and community, Debbie's committee helps to support diverse events such as our Dios de los Muertos, Black History Quilts, and our Holidays from Around the World door decorating contest. Debbie Willis is a true gem and so deserving of the You Make a Difference Award.
Where are you guys shake hands? Thank you so very much. Yes. Yeah.
And careful, it does pop out.
It does pop out. We demonstrated that last time.
A few times.
Would you like to say anything?
I'm very honored and thank you so much. That's it.
Do you have anybody here that you introduce?
My husband is here. I have 2 teenagers, but you know how teenagers are, so they didn't come.
Thank you
so much. Thank you.
All right, our first Shining Star Award recipient is Allison Aguirre. Miss Allison Aguirre is truly one of a kind in more ways than we can count. Miss Allison's official role at Madison Camelview is the school registrar. However, that is just the tip of the iceberg for all that she does for our school community. Being the registrar is no easy task, but Miss Allison is well organized and completes the day-to-day duties of this with ease. Registering students goes beyond just paperwork. It is also an opportunity to connect with our new families. Miss Allison is often the first interaction our new Cubs have with Camelview, and it is always a great one. Being bilingual, Miss Allison is able to effectively communicate with nearly all of our families, bringing to them a sense of ease and peace as their children become Cubs. Families often will leave Miss Allison gifts and notes because of how helpful and kind she is, giving them each the attention they deserve to feel comfortable. Beyond working in the front office, Miss Allison supports us with recess daily, and you will see her giving out dojo points to all students following the Cubs' expectations. The students adore her, and you will often hear, "Miss Allison," as children run up to tell her something about home or their latest accomplishment. I do not believe the word no is in Miss Allison's vernacular, as she is always the first person to lend a helping hand, solution, or listening ear to a person in need. Miss Allison's laugh and smile can be seen and heard from across the office, truly making our school feel homey and welcome. She is a true shining star at our school, and we are very fortunate she chose Camelview to be her home. Thank you, Miss Allison.
Is it okay that I'm doing that?
Yeah. Great. This is right.
You get to pick.
Oh, thank you so much for
Thank you for everything you do. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. So what was there? Congratulations.
Yeah.
And this is for you.
You go, guys.
Hold it in.
Okay.
I will hold it in. I think we should.
Would you like to say a few words?
Thank you. It's really nice. It's a good team in our front office, so it's group. It's a team award. And then my husband Cesar's here, my daughter Belle, my daughter Daphne, who goes to Heights, and Everly, who goes to Camelview.
All right. All in the family. Well, thank you.
Our second Shining Star Award recipient is Rochelle Enriquez. We are very proud to recognize Miss Rochelle Enriquez as a shining star at Madison Park. Rochelle comes to work with a smile on her face and a great attitude. She is kind and courteous to all visitors and staff and is always willing to lend a hand whenever and wherever needed. As the secretary, too, she is the first impression of Madison Park to all who enter. We couldn't ask for a better representative. Rochelle goes above and beyond daily to make sure the school functions smoothly. She was running the school solo for 2 months prior to the hiring of the current Secretary 1. She covered every area of the office during the absence, and then the training of the new Secretary 1. Rochelle continues to stay on top of her tasks and does so with a perpetual smile and a can-do attitude. Rochelle sets high expectations for herself and attends weekly professional development meetings to collaboratively work with other school secretaries to support the needs and success for our school. She is always willing to accept constructive feedback and demonstrates a willingness to learn and/or to improve in her job performance. She takes the time to build positive relationships with students, staff, and community members. She shares ideas that are in the best interest of students and are aligned with our school vision. Thank you, Miss Rochelle Enriquez, for all that you do. You really are a shining star.
Just be different. Too many choices. Oh, thank you so much. words.
Thank you to everyone at Park. I really love working there, and thank you to my family for always supporting me.
Those, your family up there standing. Hi, family. Thank you. Stay up here for Jennifer.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
So
As
our
always.
next award is a Service Recognition Award. We would like to honor Jennifer McLennan, the district's legal counsel, who is unfortunately leaving us after so many years. I was not able to pin down exactly how many years, but I know it's greater than 15, so maybe, okay.
That doesn't make me over 40.
No.
He was 12.
So she has served the Madison community for many years. I've had the pleasure of working with Jennifer in 2 other districts. She is known throughout the valley among educators as someone you can call, count on, trust, and get up-to-date legal advice, all with compassion and thoughtfulness, with the best interest of students in mind. The moment you need help, Jennifer is there. So the Madison community will certainly miss her, but we do have her cell phone number. And we are also very excited to welcome Rob Hawes, who will be our new legal counsel. So welcome, Mr. Hawes. And Jennifer, you are truly a shining star in the Madison School District. So would you come up and accept an honor from us?
Talk with you too much more. Scott. Christine, I don't even know you, but thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for this honor. Wait.
Come on, you gotta get your picture. Come on, get your picture.
It'll pop out if you don't hold it. I will promise I will hold it in the box. Thank you very much.
Sure, you want to say anything? Or does-
I just want to thank Rob Hawes for being so gracious to take over the work when I have a path to retirement. So thank you, Robert. And thank you very much to everyone on the Madison board. It's been my honor and my privilege.
Thank you.
I know, yeah. I do not miss mine.
That brings us to the superintendent's report. Dr. Guerin.
Before we jump to the superintendent's report, we did add some employee introductions today.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
We did approve 2 administrators that we approved, you approved at the last governing board meeting, and we just want to introduce them officially.
Please do.
Okay. I'd like to present Mr. Chris Merrill, principal for Madison Traditional Academy, to be introduced by the governing board and recognize Mr. Merrill.
Yay.
Mr. Merrill, do you want to say anything? Introduce your family? We want to meet your family. We do.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Guerin, board members, everybody else. I think you enjoy making me blush and nervous a little bit, Dr.
Just a little
Guerin.
bit.
So, yeah, I have a lot of support in my life, and I am grateful eternally for them. My mom is there, Bev Merrill. She worked in public education for, I think, 132 years. But she hired me to help at a summer school one time in Gilbert, and that's where my first experience was with kids. And I thought, man, do I like this. And it was shortly thereafter that I decided to go to college and become a teacher. My wife, Audrey, is just fantastic. She's the best wife ever. And I have 2 amazing sons, Dan and Dylan. Dan's going to be doing a student teaching in the fall over at Meadows.
Wow. That's amazing.
With Nathan Butler. Dan's going to be a PE teacher soon. So
great.
I was hoping some principals would be here because he's going to be looking for a job in about a year. My stepmom, who couldn't be here, was huge for me, and her husband, Bob, is here, and so I'd like to recognize him. And then I have the most amazing staff at MTA. They're absolutely incredible, Dr. Guerin. So thank you for letting me do that. But it's the support from you, the board members, Barb, Lori, Justin.
Now your computers will work tomorrow.
That really makes Madison just such a great place to work, and I've always appreciated that you guys answer the phone when I call. So thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Guerin.
Congratulations.
And we have one more new administrator to introduce, though she's been doing the job for a little while now, Miss Jackie Guin, Executive Director of Marketing and Communications. I'd like to introduce her to the board. Do you want to say anything?
Really, truly.
I don't know how I'm supposed to follow that. My goodness. I just want to thank you for the opportunity to take on this role. Throughout my time with Madison, I've had the opportunity to work with and learn from the most incredible individuals that I could have ever imagined. When our staff is recognized here, they often characterize their school community as a family. And I can tell you that I feel the exact same way. No matter what each person's role is, we're all here to support each other so that we can support our students. And I look forward to continuing to help support and celebrate the amazing things that our students are doing, that our teachers are doing, and the accomplishments that they're making, and sharing those stories with the community. So thank you guys so much for this opportunity.
Now are you ready to do the superintendent's report?
Now I am ready. I think we've done enough.
Okay,
It was
all right.
enjoyable celebrating.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I started the afternoon. I had the pleasure of attending the MTA Madison #1 girls basketball game. I left in the middle of the third quarter because I had to come to this meeting, and it was 12-10, so it was a nail biter, and I can't wait to see how it turned out. I also got to see a great halftime dance show. So thrilled with the sports opportunities and athletics in our school district. Thank you to Mr. Jesse McKinley. Wonderful job showcasing STEAM projects. I want to learn how to code myself, so I can do some of those cool things in the back. Congratulations to the communications department. The team recently received 2 awards of excellence from the Arizona School Public Relations Association. The 2 award-winning projects was coverage of a Cardinals player coming to Camelview, and of course, not surprisingly, our Wear Madison video at the Welcome Back event. Who could forget that? So congratulations. They will be celebrated at an awards luncheon in February. So they are a small but mighty team and award-winning every year. Congratulations. Tonight on the agenda, the board will consider a resolution to ask for an aggregate expenditure override. As a reminder, the Arizona Constitution caps the amount that can be spent by public schools in our state in a school year. If public schools hit the aggregate expenditure limit before the end of the fiscal year, they must immediately cut their budget, even if the legislature allocated that funding. Unless the limit is waived, all public schools will be forced to cut 20% of the current funding of this school year. The amount for the Madison School District will be $7.1 million. This governing board approved a resolution in September asking for a special session to override the AEL. The Arizona legislature is currently in session, and we are still waiting for a solution. The deadline to fix the AEL is March 1st. Please contact your lawmakers and ask them to lift this arbitrary limit so that public schools can spend the funds that were allocated to them for this school year in the midst of our recovery from a pandemic. Thank you.
That brings us to, I've been playing with my agenda over here, so I gotta make sure I don't skip something again. Governing board member reports. Ms. Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I want to thank Dr. Guerin and the administrators who came over to Heights a couple of weeks ago to discuss with parents in the REACH program the potential changes that could be coming. Really appreciate the opportunity to give input and to hear from parents about what those changes could mean for their students and the opportunity to help develop that program. So I'm very thankful for that. Also, along the lines of the AEL, I understand there's going to be a day at the Capitol for folks to advocate for the AEL in mid-February. I think the Madison Advocates should have more information on that in the next week or so, but just wanted to flag that for everyone as well.
Ms. Kazi.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to, I feel like since my surgery, the little things matter, and I was able to drive to the board meeting today. My doctor let me do that, and it's amazing when you haven't driven for 6 weeks, how extraordinary it is to be able to drive a vehicle. Who knew? Also just wanted to, it's always very insightful and really energizing when board members get to interact with our students, and I am an advisor for a community project at Madison Meadows for their end of year, essentially 8th grade community projects. And I have to say, this group I'm working with this year, it is extraordinarily humbling. They're working on women harassment issues, and just how articulate and informed. I mean, I was kind of blown away. I felt like I was talking to peers, at my age when we were having our first conversation. So it's always wonderful to see the extraordinary work that we're doing in the classroom with the students and just what they're achieving at the 8th grade level. Mind-blowing. So thank you for the opportunity to share that.
Thank you. Ms. Spear.
Thank you so much. I had the opportunity to be the pronouncer at the district spelling bee about a week and a half ago, and we went, I believe, 12 rounds, 12.
14? Yeah, about 14.
I was really focused on the pronouncing, and so I got lost on how many rounds there were. The students were amazing. I had to own a mistake. I mispronounced the word, I have it up here, riffle. I mispronounced riffle, which is R-I-F-F-L-E, which is to turn pages quickly in a book, and had to own my mistake and bring Ms. Emily back onto stage. And so that is something that has haunted me since that, since a week and a half ago. But congratulations to Emily and all of the other spelling bee participants. As I explained to them, it is an accomplishment to be able to spell well. It is a skill set that will carry them forward. It is a function of the brain that matters. It's not just spelling, it's the way that your brain works. And I'm proud of each and every one of them. And to that end, I'm also having an opportunity to mentor or advise 3 students at Madison Meadows for their 8th grade project. And I see my role as sort of cheerleader, bumpers, guardrails, but also advocates. And they are already really good communicators, and that's something that, again, will carry them forward. Being able to communicate via email, communicate face-to-face, eye contact, have those conversations. Coming out of a pandemic when everybody was sitting in front of a computer and not having those opportunities is evident. And it's really great to be able to coach students on how to write emails and communicate back and CC everybody and change the subject. Those are the kinds of skill sets that I see in older students that they may lack. And I'm really grateful to and honored to participate in that. So thank you for the chance to do both. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Ms. Gresham.
Thank you. And Ms. Spear was an excellent pronouncer. She had the very difficult job. I just got to sit there and listen. So excellent job. And congratulations to our spelling bee winners. Let's see. I just want to congratulate our award winners tonight, and a thank you to Mr. McKinley. He packed everything up. But for bringing all the cool stuff from Camel View, it's very cool to see all the cool things our students are doing. And I think I don't have anything else. Thank you.
Thank you. And I was very sad to miss the spelling bee. I finally, after 3 years, got COVID and unfortunately got it and got rid of it now. But I did have fun watching it, and you did an excellent job. It was, but it was it's much less nerve-wracking sitting and not having to pronounce or listen very carefully for the spellings. But that's always a great event. I also wanted to. Point out, the two schools that we had here tonight are STEAM schools, and people are still struggling with the concept of STEAM. But I felt it very heartening, those who listened to, I listened to NPR this morning, and they talked about grants that went out specifically for STEAM schools. And I think that's important for people to understand the difference between STEM and STEAM is, I think, one of the things that helps distinguish Madison is the focus on the arts. So it's science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. And that emphasis and the fact that that's starting to grow after it's been a long campaign of mine. I made a lot of lives sort of miserable making them say STEAM every time instead of STEM, but I think it is well worthwhile, and it's good to see that the rest of the world is starting to catch up with Madison in any event. And it was a great example showcase for our STEAM schools tonight. With that, that brings us to calls to the public. We have one. This is speaking. And let me read, I want to make sure I get this right. Members of the public may address the governing board on both agenda and non-agenda items. Members of the public who wish to address this governing board may do so in two ways. Online, which we do not have any online. Public calls to the public, then? Correct. We do not have any online, or in person by completing a request to address the governing board form. This is the time for the public to comment. Members of the board may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Pursuant to ARS 38431.01H, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing the staff to study the matter, responding to any criticism, or scheduling the matter for further consideration and decision at a later date. In order to facilitate the accomplishment of the business of the district in a friendly manner and timely manner, a time limit of 3 minutes will be imposed for each individual or group addressing the board. Please state your name and address for the record. And we have one request to speak, and that is from Cameron Campbell. Mr. Campbell, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. So many things to celebrate. I'm sorry to have to bring everybody else down. My name is Cameron Campbell. I reside at 10410 North Cave Creek Road in Phoenix, 85020. I'm here as a concerned parent and in response to a crisis that was brought upon my family by an individual last Thursday at Madison Heights Elementary. I've submitted a letter to the superintendent and to members of the board regarding this matter. I spoke in detail in that letter about what happened exactly. Certainly this event has caused many questions and answers that right now we're just not real satisfied with. Those are the questions that I wanted to bring before you and read off to you here today. What is the Madison District's protocols regarding threats of this type? What are the Madison District policies and procedures regarding the use or threat of firearms? Is there a protocol for mandatory reporting? What resources is the district providing to the students and witnesses to this type of threat? And the last question I've submitted to you folks is why weren't the police notified immediately regarding this threat? Certainly the days moving forward, a lot of these will be answered. Certainly the days moving forward, other questions are going to arise. My son right now needs an answer to when he's going to safely go to school and not have to look over his shoulder. In the days following this event, I've picked up my son from school and have asked him about his day. And he says, well, today, it was a good day, Papa. Nothing happened yet. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. I know you've been in communication with the superintendent, and the district is following its policies, so thank you. That now brings us to the consent agenda. Are there any items that any member of the board or staff feels needs to be removed from consent agenda for discussion or for separate vote? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It's moved by Ms. Thompson, second by Ms. Grissom. Please vote. That passes unanimously. That brings us down to our information items. Item 7.1, Madison Education Foundation update. Dr. Guerin.
President Holcomb, Vice President, Governing Board members, I would like to introduce Molly Dodd, Executive Director of the Foundation.
President Holcomb, members of the board, and members of the cabinet, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. My name is Molly Dodd, and I'm the Executive Director for the Madison Education Foundation. The Madison Education Foundation is dedicated to providing quality education for all the students in the Madison School District. We do this by providing hands-on, innovative arts and music programs. We do this by supporting Art Masterpiece in all 8 of our schools. In partnership with the MIM, we offer complimentary field trips to all Madison students and staff. We provide Phoenix Art Museum passes to Madison families. We award arts and education teacher grants, and we help support the master classes at the Madison Center for the Arts. This year we held a community event called Dinner and a Movie in November. It was a free event for the students and families. We had a movie, we had food trucks, and we had fun. And lastly, we're going to be ending the year with our big gala, and I'll be talking more about that. Our upcoming events is the Giselle Ballet. We have 300 students and Dr. Guerin, who's going to be attending. This is an additional masterclass that the foundation has provided for the school. It is February 9th. We also have on April 14th, Night at the Museum. We're bringing that back. This is an event to feature the Art Masterpiece program. We will be having it's a free event for all families. We'll be watching Night at the Museum. We'll have the Smithsonian Traveling Trunks. And then this year, we're also bringing a museum store to help fundraise for Art Masterpiece. And last but not least, grab your crimpers and your jelly shoes. We are going to be having a totally 80s gala on April 29th. Featuring Travis Bickett Band and DJ Melvin, who is an employee here, which we're excited about, and Dr. Guerin's son's band. And tickets go on sale next week, and we're very excited for this event. It's our biggest fundraiser of the year. All righty. The foundation is very, very proud of our Arts and Education Teachers Grant. We run 2 cycles. We have a fall cycle and a spring cycle. The fall cycle we awarded in November, and then the spring cycle was just released, and we'll be awarding that in March. The purpose of these grants is to integrate the arts into classrooms across the Madison School District via any artistic medium. We grant money, the grant money is available to enhance curricular projects that are not funded through regular school budgets. We received 8 applications this year, and we had a committee of 8. We had teachers, board members from our foundation, and some community members who all used a rubric to rank our applicants. And without further ado, this year we awarded, or for our fall cycle, we awarded $7,620.77. And the fall recipients were Sarah Daffy, Regina Francis, Michelle Lindsay, Amanda Mansfield, Catherine O'Connor, Noelle McClure, Jessie McKinley, who is here today, Megan Tracy, and Julie Thibodeau, I'm hoping I'm saying her name right. To go over each one, our first recipient was Megan Tracy. She is the Meadows 6th through 8th IB Visual Art and Advanced Art and Ceramics teacher. Her grant was the Art of Printmaking. When we awarded her this, she had tears. This was one of her biggest passions in college, and now she can share it with all of her students. I started crying, we all started crying. So she purchased the printmaking machine and all the supplies for that, which should last for many years to come. So she was very, very excited. Our next recipient was Nicole McClure. She is a Camel View third grade teacher, and hers was the weather station. With her grant money, she is certifying 10 teachers for $25 each to the GLOBE education program, which is the network of students, teachers, and scientists from around the world to help better understand, sustain, and improve Earth's environment at local, regional, and global scales. And the students will be using art to show their findings. So they'll be doing clouds and the water cycle and all of those things. So she'll be integrating the arts that way. The next recipient is Amanda Mansfield. She is the choir teacher at Camel View. She has 50 choir students, and they are going to be traveling to local churches and retirement homes, and they are going to be purchasing new shirts, a traveling speaker, and some props to do their entertaining. So that's going to be an exciting one. Jesse McKinley, who is here today, he is the Camel View K-4 STEAM teacher, and his is Arts and Designs with Artie the Coding Robot, and that's Artie up in the corner there. He is purchasing 12 new Arties, and they will have lessons to build their project skills using robots and other building materials from the Makerspace room, and all activities will culminate at one STEAM project that the students will design and present at their annual STEAM Spotlight in May. So we look forward to seeing that. Catherine O'Connor is from Heights. She's the K-4 art teacher, and she did sew a kenki, I believe that's how it says, it's a stuffy. So this is, she's taught all the fourth graders how to sew. So we bought all the felt. They had to design their own stuffy, and then they had to sew. And if any of you have been in a classroom, I can't imagine teaching fourth graders to sew. So kudos to her. The next one is Michelle Lindsay. She is from Madison #1 art teacher. Her grant was Feeling Groovy. It happened right after we gave her the money, so she had all of her pictures and things ready to go. We helped provide the boards for the kids to display their artwork, so they were in charge of figuring out how they wanted to lay it all out, and the flow of the room, like they did the whole art exhibit. So she was very proud of that. And there's another picture of her art exhibit. Regina Francis from Madison Traditional Academy, K-8 art teacher, ceramics for all. So we were able to provide her with all the clay, tools, and glazes that she needs for all of her art classes. And she's excited to get that going. And last but not least, this is probably one of my favorites, Sarah Daffy and Julie Thibodeau, I'm thinking. Glow in the Art, they're the Park Middle School 5 through K art teacher and stomp teacher. And in the spring, the students will create glow-in-the-dark artwork. The STOMP students will create performances to be done in the dark using glow-in-the-dark sticks and wearing glow-in-the-dark accessories. So on May 4th, mark your calendar and go into the glow-in-the-dark room and see all the action. And we're excited for all of our spring cycle recipients. And does anyone have any questions or comments for me?
Any questions? Ms. Kazi?
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. So what great news and what fabulous projects. I'm always impressed with all of the teachers, that especially our art teachers, the creativity that they demonstrate. However, I'm just curious. I know when we've done these grants, it's predominantly art teachers. Obviously, it makes perfect sense. But is there a way to reach our other teachers and helping them understand the ease at which the application could be completed, or how they can integrate art into their main, their science classes or math classes?
I just actually had a teacher address me today. And they're like, if we want this, and I'm like, if you can try to incorporate the arts or music, we're pretty lenient. So like all eight of the applications were accepted this time. So we're trying to figure out a better way, but right now they see that the arts have to be in it, or music, and so we're trying to have the teachers think out of the box, and I'm really trying to give them ideas. Like when they were asking me about PE, I'm like, well, do they dance in PE? Can they? And so that way, try to help them find ideas.
Right. Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, if I may comment specifically on that, in past years too, we've had a number of PE teachers do it, and they actually even got things for them to be able to make decisions to vote, the remote voting machines and things of that nature. And so I think you used the appropriate term is integration. Is
And
key.
I've reached out to principals and said if anyone has a question or if I can help them try to figure out how we can integrate all these things together, I would be happy to help best I can.
Ms. Spear?
I just wanted to say congratulations to all of the award winners, the grant winners. I know many of those teachers personally and have been able to see like Ms. Thibodeau's Stomp and Ms. DeFay's art projects. I mean, these are all extraordinary educators, and I'm thrilled to see what they're going to do with the grant. And also, thank you so much for leading the foundation. We've all touched the foundation one way or another, and it's just really nice to see you up there, and thank you for your leadership.
Thank you.
Ms. Grissom?
I will just add, and thank you, Ms. Kazi, for bringing that up, because yes, we always want more teachers to apply for these grants. And now that we're back to having fundraisers, we can do even more grants. But what was my other point? I also wanted to, that brings me to my other point, is that the foundation does take donations. So anyone else who's listening, you can always go on the website and donate. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I want to personally thank you. Working with you, you've really helped move the foundation forward.
Thank you.
I know there's a heavy learning curve there, and a lot of things got thrown at you all at once, and I think you've done an excellent job of both absorbing them and ducking when you need to duck. And I think you are really helping the foundation move forward.
Thank you
I
very
do
much.
appreciate that.
Thank you. It's been fun. Anyone else? Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have the SIAP winter update. Dr. Guerin.
Yes, thank you. President Holcomb, Vice President Gresham, governing board members, cabinet, and guests. I just want to take a moment to share with you a process that I just recently have begun participating in that is truly a point of pride in the Madison School District, the School Integrated Action Plan Winter Site Visits. This process is led by Assistant Superintendent Barb Marshall and Director Jason Piankowski and his team. And in the fall, each school presented to this school board their school integrated action plan. And if you remember, we did a review of the current data, the site leaders shared their goals, and we had them focus on 3 specific areas: providing outstanding Tier 1 instruction to all the students, improving climate and culture for staff and students, and using decision-driven data collection that will impact instruction to move student achievement forward. This winter, the educational service team is spending about 4 hours at each site meeting with 3 separate groups. We spend an hour with some teachers and staff. We spend an hour with students. That is my favorite. The students know everything about a school. And administration, the principal and assistant principal. We meet in small groups to review those 3 areas of focus, find out what is working, what are the areas to target, how can we help, and are there any barriers that we can remove to help them move forward. I am so impressed with this process, and the timing is perfect for me because 6 months into this role, I'm getting to know the schools at a whole nother level. So it was great. I have joined the team on the first 4 visits, and I'm looking forward to the next 4. If you recall, from our fall SIAP presentations, there were short-term goals and long-term goals, which was something new that Ed Services added this year as a part of the SIAP process, which is great because you can have short-term achievable goals to work toward that larger goal. And the winter check-in ensures alignment between the district office and each school site. We don't want to go to the end of the year and say, oh, I wish I would have known that. We could have helped with A, B, or C. We want to make sure we're working hand in hand to focus on what is most important, especially during recovery. This will also inform our budgetary process and priorities, because we can really see firsthand and hear from stakeholders what schools need. I would just like to share a few highlights, and these are just a few because I could go on all day. Administrators, teachers, and staff shared their strengths and challenges and have specific data points to back up those observations. They really know where they're at, and they need to know where to go. So it's very specific. This tells me they're using the data, summative data, formative data, observation data, to plan responsive lessons and interventions. They know where they're at on the long-term and short-term goals and how the goals are aligned to the district's strategic plan. And it's not just the principal and assistant principal that can articulate that. So that's what's really impressive. Instructional coaches and MTSS specialists and behavior specialists, all this instructional and behavioral support are key. Over and over and over again, I heard this from every group. Counselors and social workers are absolutely essential and work hand in hand with the principal and assistant principal. These support positions were mentioned over and over again as critical to our recovery efforts and to meet the individual needs of students. Students can speak about the mood meter, what color they are, how strategies that they can work on to change the color if they're in a color that's not so great, their classroom charter and why the charter is important to them. The charter represents something they created, and it's the classroom they want, and they understand they have a role in making that classroom charter happen. So that was really impressive. Professional development is so important to teachers right now as we're getting back and sharpening the saw and getting back to all that we used to do before COVID. One school is doing just-in-time professional development, such as Kagan Cooperative Learning Structure of the Month. So the structure of the month, we're all focusing on this one structure. And it's so funny because the students came in next and I asked them about it, and they talked about think, pair, share and all the other complicated ones that I don't know how to do. I only know how to do the basics. And then I also heard about some new professional learning about the science of reading and how teachers are thirsty for the latest research on how to improve reading instruction. So teachers are excited to get back at it, and it is making an impact. So thank you to the Ed Services Department on that. For climate and culture, one principal and assistant principal are doing 15-minute staff check-ins, and they're calling them stay surveys. We want everyone to stay. What can we do to help you be happy, do your job, and stay at our school? Because we understand that not only do we need to recruit, we need to retain employees. And most of all, the students love their schools. I know which schools need soccer balls. I know where there's a hole in the net of a soccer goal that we need to fix. I can tell you about lunch and what's the favorite. One of my favorite stories, a student at Camel View, he said, we said, what do you like about your school? What can be improved and all this? He said, I am really tired when I wake up in the morning. I do not like getting up so early and coming to school this early. So I get myself here, but then I walk in the door and everyone says hi to me, and I see my friends, and my teacher greets me, and people know my name, and I instantly wake up and I'm glad I'm here. And that just melted my heart, because don't we all want to be known and have people be glad that we've come to school that day? So I was able to catch a glimpse of each school through the eyes of school leaders, teachers, staff, and students, and it was one of the most impactful experiences in regards to understanding the unique needs of each Madison school and how to support the important work of teaching and learning moving forward. So thank you for letting me share that.
Thank you for that excellent report. Comments, questions? Ms. Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Dr. Guerin, could you just touch really briefly on how those students are selected to be a part of those focus groups? I think it's really great when we get the hand raisers in the room, but to also have kids who might not be quite as engaged is really important. Making sure that we have diversity of at all different levels is going to be really important, I think. I know
it was very carefully done, and Ms. Marshall's going to explain just how.
Thank you, Member Thompson and governing board members and members of cabinet. This year, what we did was use the student achievement data so that we had a cross-section of ability levels of students, because we don't want to just hear from the students who participate on a regular basis, but our struggling students and what are their needs as well. So we curated a list for each school, and then with the new legislation and being cautious, we sent to those families that we would like to talk with their children, and sent them some general questions about school, and really got a solid return rate from those families. And as Dr. Guerin said, at one of the schools, the students, they couldn't thank us enough for listening to them. They felt that their voice was heard. And so getting that nice cross-section of students really helps to make a difference in seeing the perspective of schooling through those different levels of need.
Okay, and thank you for that. I have two things. One, if you remember, we talked at the board meetings a couple times ago about having regular informational things that give us a little bit more insight into the schools. And this is really the first one of those reports. And this is one specifically I asked for, but I encourage other board members and the staff, and then too, in the particular cabinet, there's things that you think we should hear, or things that you want to hear about. I think I really do want to make this a regular part of the meetings to get more. I find reports like this to be extremely helpful. Ms. Kazi.
I just want to comment on how happy I am with how our SIOP process has evolved. I think when I first joined the board 8 years ago, I felt that there wasn't always a great deal of connection between what we heard in the fall and the spring, and there's a lot of time that happens in between, so I wasn't always clear on, when we reported on what, the accomplishments were, what the, how it changed. And so it just helps, I think, as a board member where I'm not obviously in the schools and the classrooms every day, to just be brought along. So when we get to the spring, we're well informed, and I think we're in a better position to be able to do our jobs. So thank you so much for that.
Ms. Spear.
And thank you. And thank you, Dr. Guerin, for filling us in on your visits. And to piggyback on Ms. Kazi's comments, I know that having been on this board for 10 years now, the SIOP reports that we've had over the years have evolved to now what Ms. Kazi was saying, but that comes with giving our principals and their staff specificity in what we're looking for. Leaving it nebulous, I think, puts a lot of, Ms. Webb would probably be better able to address it, but I know that if somebody just says, oh, just give a report on something without any kind of parameters, or even, to use educational speak, a rubric, is daunting on top of all of the other tasks that they have to do. So I'm glad that we've provided some specificity, and if board members would like more specific information, I think that it's important for us to convey that to Dr. Guerin, so that we so that we are mindful of the amount of time that I know that it takes to create a report. And so I just wanted to put that out there as well. Thank you so much.
Ms. Grisham.
Just a quick comment for all those out there listening that might not know what SIOP means. School Integrated, see if I have this, School Integrated Action Plans. That's what we're talking about.
I thought it was a DC supervillain.
Thank you for that, Ms. Gresham. We're very big on acronyms, and sometimes it's.
And what schools have you done so far?
All right, so we've done Camel View, we've been at Madison Meadows, we've been at MTA, and we've been at Rose Lane. Did I get it?
That's correct. And I see Mr. George in the audience. We will be at Madison #1 tomorrow morning.
7:30, bright and early.
Yeah, hopefully he'll be able to wake up when he gets through too, when they say hi to him in the morning too. Well, thank you very much for that. And that then brings us to the action items. And action item 8.1 is the district hearing officer annual renewal. Ms. Gresham, you will have to take over the vote for this, because I have to declare conflict, because for some unknown reason, and despite my record, they keep putting me on the list for hearing officers. So cannot be involved in this discussion or the vote.
All right, scoot away in there. Thank you. Dr. Guerin, do you want to introduce 8.1?
Yes. Vice President Gresham, the governing board, we're asking for their approval of the recommended hearing officers for 2023.
Do we have any questions or discussion, Ms. Kazi?
I'm happy to make a motion as soon as we're ready.
Are we ready for a motion?
May I make one comment? Just for anyone who is watching, I have no relation to Mr. John Spear, who is a retired administrator. Last name like that, I'm sure he's a great guy, but I don't know who he is. So I just wanted to let everybody know prior to my vote.
Thank you.
Very important. I move the governing board approve the recommended hearing officers for 2023.
Second.
Ms. Kazi motion, Ms. Thompson seconded, and we will vote. We have 4 ayes and 1 abstention. Motion passes.
Thank you for taking over the ship. Next up, we have the aggregate expenditure limit override. Dr. Guerin.
President Holcomb, Vice President Gresham, governing board members, cabinet, and guests. In front of you, you have a draft, updated version of the governing board resolution supporting fiscal year 2023 aggregate expenditure limit override. This updated draft was drafted by Ms. Thompson, and it is for your consideration and review.
Ms. Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. President. This was, the content of this is borrowed liberally from the same resolution that was passed by this board last September. I do think from the information that Dr. Guerin gave at the beginning of, in her remarks, that we need to update the 3rd, 4th, 5th paragraph that says right now we will be forced to cut 7.5 million from the budget to 7.1 million, if that's the correct number, but just wanted to make that clear before we vote.
I see Ms. Garvey nodding. Okay.
I'm sorry, what was the correct number?
7.1 million.
Any other comments or discussion? Ms. Gresham.
I have a quick comment. First, thank you, Ms. Thompson, for bringing this up. And also, I think I say this every time it comes up, but we do need to lift the limit this time, but we really need a permanent solution to this. This is a law from 1980, and something needs to be done because we can't keep going through this year after year. So please reach out to your legislators and ask them to make a permanent solution and lift this one soon. Thank you.
Ms. Spear.
I appreciate very much Ms. Thompson taking this on, and also Ms. Gresham, your comments. I'm going to take it a step further and actually say that this is ringing the bell. We're officially ringing the bell with this resolution. It is no longer acceptable for political gamesmanship it is no longer acceptable for public schools to be the political football that it is. Every single year we go through this, and every single year Ms. Garvey and her team has to address exactly what kind of programs we would cut, where we would cut, how we would cut, and when. And this is a waste of her time. It's a waste of her staff's time. And frankly, it is soul-sucking for our staff and our teachers to have to go through this every single year, knowing full well that it could end up in RIFs, which is reduction in force, which means layoffs. So, I'm kind of tired of, I mentioned I've been up here for 10 years, watching this happen year after year after year. And again, it has nothing to do with us wanting more money. It has to do with us needing to access the money that was already allocated by the legislature. This is not us with our hand out asking for more money. This is something that was already allocated. So to that end, I really do hope that anyone who is watching understands exactly where the responsibility for resolution of this issue lies, and that is with our state legislature. So with that, thank you so much, and I will happily support this Resolution, thank you. I was trying to figure out exactly what we were calling it. Thank you.
Any other comments? I have, Ms. Garvey.
Excuse me, Mr. President, members of the board and cabinet, I'm sorry, it was 7.1 million, but it has gone to 7.5 million, which is in the letter. Okay. So it is correct.
Yeah, so the letter has the correct amount of 7.5 million. Again, I also want to thank Ms. Thompson for taking the initiative and doing this. I think this is important. I think Ms. Gresham's point is very well taken, but I want to explain to the community and what we're doing. Because my first thought when I saw this is, well, we need to just fix this. Let's quit screwing around with the yearly thing and let's do it. However, I think if we did that, there's the bridge too far, particularly when it needs to be done. But I think we need to get a statement out on this year and then keep pushing and having everyone push to get it fixed permanently, as you said, so going forward. So my initial reaction is I wanted to change it and said just fix it permanently, but I think we need this. And we should consider then following it up with a resolution for getting it fixed permanently. And so with that, I would, for the public, and indulge me, and feel free to say no, but I think this is important enough, and Ms. Thompson, I think you did a good job in drafting it. I think it would be appropriate to read the resolution. If is board in agreement, do you get a couple minutes to it? I think it's important for the words to be said. No, Ms. Thompson.
Ooh.
Yeah, I do want to, but.
Okay, so let me read the draft resolution. Governing board resolution supporting the fiscal year 2023 aggregate expenditure limit override. Whereas the fiscal year 2023 budget enacted during the second regular session of the 55th legislature included appropriations for state aid to school district laws 2022 chapter 313, and whereas expending funds appropriated in the fiscal year 23 budget would cause education spending for the fiscal year to exceed the aggregated expenditure limit for K-12 education contained in the Arizona Constitution, Article 9, Section 21, and whereas legislation to exceed the constitutional aggregated expenditure limit is necessary to allow school districts to expend money that has already been appropriated by the legislature for the purpose of K-12 education, and whereas the Madison Elementary School District responsibly prepared its fiscal 23 budget in accordance with Arizona law and with the expectation that sufficient revenues will be available to fund its obligations through the entire fiscal year, and whereas without an override of the constitutional aggregate expenditure limit, the Madison Elementary School District stands to be forced to cut $7.5 million from its budget on April 1st, 2023, and whereas a cut of this magnitude will significantly harm student learning, teacher and staff retention, and community trust by causing large furloughs and other cuts prior to the end of the school year. And whereas the school district in our community is a source of economic stability and development, and a cut of this magnitude will have an economic impact on all residents of our community. And whereas the Joint Legislative Budget Committee January monthly fiscal highlights state that the fiscal 23 general fund revenues are 11.7% above the prior year and $1 billion above the enacted budget forecast, demonstrating that the state has sufficient revenues to fund the enacted fiscal 23 budget. And whereas it is within the legislature's power under Arizona Revised Statute Section 15-944 to immediately mitigate this looming fiscal crisis by voting by a 2/3 majority to allow the expenditure of all appropriated funds in fiscal year 2023. Now, therefore, it is resolved that the Madison Elementary School District Governing Board, made up of locally elected and accountable school governing board members representing our community, supports the override of the constitutional aggregate expenditure limit for fiscal 23 and urges the 56th Arizona Legislature to immediately enact an override, adopted by the governing board at the meeting held today, if we so choose to do so.
And with that, I will entertain a motion to adopt that resolution.
So moved.
I will second that motion.
Moved by Ms. Thompson, seconded by Ms. Spear. Any further discussion? Please vote. And that passes unanimously, and I will sign it. Next up, we have the Memorandum of Understanding with the Madison Education Foundation. Dr. Garrett.
President Holcomb, members of the board, I'd like Ms. Garvey to present this item.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, Dr. Guerin, and cabinet. I am truly excited to be bringing this Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU, to the board this evening. It's been a long undertaking in the process. The Madison Education Foundation, for those that don't know, is a separate nonprofit organization from the district. However, we work very closely. We have Madison School District has a very good relationship with the foundation. As you heard earlier tonight, they do many things which benefit Madison School District and our students, and we would like to continue that relationship with them. We'd like to expand it even further now that we have the Madison Center for the Arts, to helping us support those events at the center, as well as the educational programming that's coming through the center. Since Ms. Dodd started in June, July, she's really done just an amazing job of moving forward a lot of things to help solidify this relationship and get this MOU to a point where we could bring it before the board for approval. And this MOU memorializes our relationship, what we are getting from the foundation, and then things that we can do in terms for them to really show our partnership. So in addition to the programs that Mrs. Dodd outlined today, such as the Art Masterpiece and the teacher grants and the MIM, it also now includes a part in there about helping to support the Madison Center for the Arts and the events and the programming. So with that, I'm open for questions.
Questions, discussions? See none, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
I'm moving to approve it, I assume. Yes,
Yes, I move we approve the MOU with the Madison Education Foundation.
thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Ms. Grissom, excuse me, seconded by Ms. Kazi. No further. Oh, Ms. Thompson, I couldn't, I was trying to read your lips and I couldn't. Okay. Please vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? That carries unanimously. Thank you. That brings us to the discussion regarding future meetings. Dr. Guerin. By the way, I wasn't trying to be coy about that. I didn't want to assume that you were going to move to approve or not approve, so I didn't want to put words in your mouth.
So, President Holcomb, members of the board, cabinet, and guests, I can't believe we're already planning board meetings for February. But we will be very busy on February 7th. We will start off at 4:30 with our board photo. We will have an executive session to discuss employee contracts. And we will have a school showcase by Madison No. 1's orchestra that we plan to have out in the front of the district office for everyone's enjoyment. So Danielle is busily planning that. It will be lovely. So we are looking at a few key items. We'll have a budget update from Ms. Garvey, and we will also bring forward certified teacher salary schedules and the contract template, because it is important that we start getting those out there early, even if it is with contingency language. We will also be looking at a psychologist intern program where we can hire interns as they become certified psychologists because of the shortage. So we're excited that Dr. Lomeli is bringing that forward. In February, we will have winter recognitions. at the Center for the Arts and a showcase from MT in Rose Lane. Board President Holcomb mentioned some additional new information items at the board meetings, and we are excited to present a literacy update. Not only what we're doing in regards to improving student literacy, but there are several mandates regarding what teachers need on their certificate for reading endorsements, and how the district is working hand in hand to try to support that for teachers, so it's not burdensome after the school day. So we will give you an update on that, and we are so excited to put a bow on the strategic plan. We are really ready to bring it forward. Right now, we're enacting the strategic plan, we're implementing it while we're creating it. We are just so ready to be implementing it. And so we because it's taken a couple years to create it during the pandemic, we decided we're starting the 5 years from now, not from when we created it. Otherwise, we'd be doing this again in 2 years. So that was an executive decision we've all made. And then the next meeting in March, we're adding another new information item. If you could, we're going to have an instructional coach update. We heard over and over again the impact the instructional coaches are making on the schools and instruction. So we'd like to hear from them in regards to what is the latest, what they're doing, what they're seeing in the schools. So hope you enjoy some of this new board content that we are experiencing as a cabinet that you will also get to experience as board members. That's all I have.
Any questions, discussions, additions? Ms. Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't know whether we need to have it on a specific agenda, but to have it in the back of our mind regarding AEL, I'm hopeful that they will take care of this, so we will not have to have one of those conversations that Ms. Spear discussed, the what-if scenarios, but I just want to make sure that we're thinking about that well in advance of April.
We certainly will have it. It could be a part of some executive sessions and related to employee contracts and with Ms. Garvey's budget update potentially. But we hope we don't have to, but we absolutely might. Thank you for that.
As part of that as well, because I know there's been some discussion about if we have to have those discussions, we have some experience, unfortunately, in dealing with budget cuts and that too, and have developed what I think was a very good program beforehand. So there'll be discussion about how the community outreach and the community and involvement at the school level will be in that as well.
Yes, Ms. Garvey shared the process that she used in 2008 in regards to getting stakeholder input. It will be a lot of tightening the belt right now and planning for an entirely different school year than we imagine next year. And I hope it doesn't come to that.
Any other questions or comments? With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Grissom, seconded by Ms. Kazi. Please vote. That passes unanimously. We are adjourned. Thank you.